Thanks for staying with us this morning. We're joined by Ken Rahjes, who is our state legislator and gives us our legislative updates. Ken, by the time this airs, you'll be going back to work on Monday, basically, and still have a lot of things in front of you, budget, taxes, school finance.
Yeah, we had a 3-week break to come back to our home districts, to talk with our constituents, talk to them kind of what they're feeling, also for us to get boots on the ground, to see how things are. And so really we've got a number of big issues. We've done a lot already this year, but obviously a school finance formula has to be taken care of. We put that in there with taxes, tax plan, and then the budget. And so anything else that might be left over, but primarily those will be the biggest things we have.
Well, let's jump in. Let's just jump in, both the taxes being one of the biggest issues here in the state of Kansas. I believe it was the House passed a tax increase, small tax increase. Didn't have enough votes to carry the veto from the governor. Where we stand with that?
All right, so what's happened since the first tax bill, the House did pass out a 3-tiered income tax plan that really didn't go anywhere. The Senate didn't pass it out. Or I guess they did, and the governor vetoed it, so we kind of started all over again. Since that time, the House has passed out a flat tax proposal, has not had a vote yet, but the Senate did, working with the governor. It was a 4.6% flat tax. It was soundly defeated, 3-37, and so really in the process of determining, is that the best way to go? The governor has come out and said that maybe the flat tax would be the best way to go. So it looks like, Brian, as we come to some sort of a kind of new tax plan, the LLC situation, the pass-through income tax, those type of provisions will go away. If I was to guess, I would say that something in agreement will probably go back to that 2 to 3 tiered tax plan. I would like to see something, if we do have to do that, to put some sunsets in it, to have us continually work on it. One thing we want to make sure is we are seeing some positive signs in the Kansas economy, maybe not as quickly as many of us would like to see, but we want to make sure when this engine does take off that we don't create excess revenue, because that's not right. That should stay with the Kansas people, but also that we don't create extra programs so when the economy does slag again, all of a sudden we're scrambling, and that's not good fiscal policy.
We're not only scrambling, but we've got no additional money to fill in any gaps besides taking out of transportation. And as farmers, we know how important transportation is to the state of Kansas. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the budget and education. You're watching kansasAGreport, and we'll see you in just a minute.
This segment brought to you by Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
Thanks for staying with us. We're joined by Ken Rahjes, our state legislator, and we're getting our last update before we go into the final push in the session and trying to get a budget done, school finance. And let's talk about school finance. We kind of talked about taxes and budget in the first segment. School finance, it is something that it touches everybody in the state of Kansas.
It does, and we're just finishing up the block grant for the last couple of years. Supreme Court basically said that's unconstitutional, so we have to come up with a school finance formula that works. It's been a lot of discussion most of the session. Where we are right now, the plan that's out there looks a little similar to the old formula, and they're still doing some tweaks right now to try to do their best to hold each school district harmless. The words like consolidation, closing, those aren't in there. And not to say that as we move forward, we're all realizing that regardless of whether you're in the smallest school district or the largest, every Kansas kid deserves a good education, prepare them, and that's one of the things that we're working towards, is to make sure there's accountability. And one thing that I am concerned about, that we've talked about a little bit, but we haven't given enough credit and enough, is vocational education funding. That's our FFA programs, our vocational agriculture, our trades. We talked a good game, but we're not quite there funding it, and so I think that's vitally important to the sustainability of our rural schools and of a strong Kansas workforce. And so those are the things I'm going to be fighting for. And so as we look, there's a lot of numbers, and we could talk about them, Brian, but it's going to be a lot of free flowing, and there's going to be a little more give and take. But I think eventually we want to make sure, we as legislators want to make sure that every Kansas student that wants to go on and be a productive member of society, whether it be working, going to a vocational school, or going to K-State, Fort Hays, private school, whatever, they're given the tools necessary so that when they're ready to hit the ground running, or our community colleges, they're ready to go. We're not doing remedial, we're not doing things, and so they're given the tools they need in our high schools.
Well, not only that, I think you bring up a good point, Ken, is not everybody's a doctor, not everybody's a lawyer. You drive in many rural communities throughout the state of Kansas like I do, and you do as well. You see mechanics or whatever it might be, machine operators. I mean,
Right.
There's a need for skilled labor in this state.
I think for one time we thought the way for all our students was to go to a four-year school and get that bachelor's degree. We have found that that's good for some, but also there are some that are good for that 1 or 2 year to have the certificate. Because we do need laborers, we do need those mechanics, we do need those heating and air conditioning folks, we do need the folks that do the basics for our neighbors and our friends, even for ourselves. And so that's going to be another passion I'm going to continue to work on, to make sure that that those programs are being taken care of, those are funded, and that the students know that is an opportunity for them.
Perfect. Well, at the end of the session, we'll get together with Ken and we'll kind of talk about some of the things. You think you guys are going to go along? You think you'll be done on time?
Well, sounds like we'll be at least through the whole week. Probably when this program airs next week, we'll probably still be in Topeka. We're hoping that we're not there. We could be there as long as the month of May if we need to be. We are. Last year we were a little short. This year we're scheduled to go up to 100 days, which would theoretically put us around Mother's Day, so another week or two, possibly. We don't know. I mean, it just, I guess, pray for success.
There you go. Yeah, so at the end of the session, we'll get together with Ken. We'll talk about where we're at, budget, taxes, and education. You're watching Kansas Ag Report. We'll see you in just a minute. If you would like to advertise your business on Kansas Ag Report, give us a call, 785-580-3287.